Hey there, Shadow Hour crew. I am your host and researcher. My name is Nikki, and I look forward to getting further into this information with you. I wanted to take a minute and hop on here and give you guys a quick little introduction to myself, a quick introduction to the channel, let you know where we're headed and what our plans are for what we're doing. So first, I just wanted to tell each and every one of you, thank you to those of you that have been watching, liking, subscribing. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I hope you are too. I have a lot more information coming for you guys. And then to the guys and gals out there who haven't subscribed yet, please do so now. It means so much for the channel, so much for the world, really, because this is breaking down the information that's been really kind of stowed away and kept from the general population. So again, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. It will do so much for the channel and so much for the knowledge and so much for us as a society. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the history of the channel and how I even got here. I am an avid ancient history lover. I'm just a lover of all knowledge, right? But it came to a time when I started asking questions that the modern historical record just wasn't able to answer. And I even started running into instances where historical, factual record was contradictory to itself. I was running into instances where it became obvious that the stories that were being fed to us in academia were just not consistently true. And whether it was science debunking it or some other research debunking it or some other form of knowledge, there was stuff out there that was basically saying the standard history of the world just isn't fact. And at least not all the way through, right? Not through and through. There are things in there that we need to figure out if we want to have a better understanding of us. Um, if we want to have a better understanding of ourselves as a society, as a culture, as a race. I think this is good for us as human beings, but I think this is good for us as a whole to better understand that we really aren't all so different like it seems. And that's really where the knowledge has taken me. And that's really like the end thing here that I'm realizing is that we're not all as different as the world makes it seem. Um, and I really look forward to digging into this information with you guys at my side. Again, I'm just here to do the research, the labor, put it all together, ask the questions, but let you guys decide what it all really means. So this channel follows actual record, ancient historical fact, the written proof, the archaeological sites, the stuff that's been sitting in libraries and museums for hundreds of years, waiting to be explored, waiting to be deciphered, waiting to be read and understood and taken seriously. That's what we're doing here because there is so much knowledge out there waiting to be uncovered and told and shared. I decided to make this channel and give you guys all that information, all that factual evidence, ask those tough questions, and let you guys decide like what it all really means for you and for your heart. So it's been really fun just learning and taking this all the way back. And I hope it's entertaining and fun for you guys too. Now, I want to kind of redirect to something that's happening right now in the world. It's pretty serious, at least to me. And it's pretty serious for this channel. And it has big implications for where this channel goes and what happens to this channel, even though we're just getting started, which blows my mind. But definitely a couple of things out there I want to address. And the first one being that we are in the age of disclosure. It's pretty clear that the idea of aliens, of extraterrestrial life, of beings from outer space existing being real, being fact, right? Like they are finally giving us little tidbits of information, feeding us information here and there to start planting those seeds, okay? Now, I think the biggest thing I've seen recently is that on Fox News, Jesse Waters did a segment and posted on X that aliens are real, that aliens exist, and I don't know, man, it really had me feeling some kind of way. Um, and I think it's only fair that I don't give you guys my opinion on it, and I just let you guys see it for yourselves, and you can make your judgment and make your decision on how you feel about it after you see it. So I'm gonna roll the clip and let you guys take a look at it, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it and where I think we need to step back for a moment.
We are not alone. The Pentagon released the UFO files a few weeks back, and we just found out over 1 billion people have visited the site. 1 billion. It's got to be a record. The War Department says more files will be released soon. UFO experts and top researchers have been investigating aliens for years. Their sources say dozens of crashed UFOs have been recovered, and what they found inside? Shocking.
And do people think that there's one type of non-human intelligence that's visiting the Earth, or is there many, many types?
People who have been involved in recoveries have said
there are at least 4 types, 4 separate types. Now, I have not had direct access to that, but I believe the people who I talked to.
4 different types of life.
4 different types of life.
4 different species of aliens. Another scientist called them Greys, Nordics, Insectoids, and Reptilians. All of them have 2 arms and 2 legs, just like us. Experts speculate the reptilians are scaly with long tails, like a lizard. Insectoids look like a praying mantis. The Greys look like your classic movie alien, and the Nordics look like a regular Swedish guy, but 7 feet tall. We haven't seen the evidence, but Pete Hegseth says more evidence is coming, and there are a lot of believers in Congress.
I have seen evidence in a skiff that leads me to believe there are things we cannot explain, and I have observed things that are of non-human origin and creation. That's my opinion.
Releasing the files isn't easy. They've been hidden for years, and a lot of people want to keep it that way.
The problem we have right now is the deep state's fighting the president on the release, and he kept his word, and I suspect some of our not-so-friendly comrades and some of our alphabet agencies are slow walking a lot of the information. It's about power, it's about control, and that's kind of what runs Washington.
So why is our own government fighting so hard to keep these secret? Well, a dozen scientists have either gone missing or died. Now, we don't know if that's related, but people are scared to talk.
one I thought was going to do an interview, and then a couple days before sent me a message saying, after further consideration and long talks with my wife, I decided I'd be forfeiting my life if I participated in your interview. And I thought that was like very unsettling
yeah.
message to get, obviously, but also very specific word choice, you know, forfeiting my life.
I think it's only fair that you guys have the opportunity to see it, see how it's presented to you, and make your own decision on that. But it is important that we at least acknowledge that this stuff is out there and pretty mainstream now. We're not like these crazy, kooky conspiracy theorists that need to hide in a closet and take our information with us and be quiet about it because people are going to think we're nuts and we're going to need to be 5150. Like, no, it's not like that. This is real. This is all over the news, and we just need to take a step back and analyze it a little bit before we let it take over our perspective. So that was posted. Well, so that was shared in May, just last month, and it opens up a lot of doors for questions and really can make your mind kind of start to spin with just the idea of what they're saying. I do find it pretty curious. I do find it pretty curious that this is the angle they're taking with it. Instead of kind of like getting our feet wet to the idea of it. They're just like, bam, like you guys throwing us in the, they're just pushing us in the deep end, man. Like it's just interesting. And that being said, this is reaching millions of people. I'm going to share the Twitter. I'll share the Twitter post with you too that he made. I think it was like 25,000 likes, 7 million views or something like that. I'm not even 100%, so don't quote me on that. Let me find it real quick and I'll put it up there for you guys. Yeah, so there it is. I mean, pretty much saying the same thing, but it looks like it had 25,000 likes, 25.7 thousand likes. And it's just interesting to see the way that it's all happening, and the response to it as well. But so bringing it back to what that means for the show, I mean, if you've already watched episodes 1, 2, and 3, I tried to use those episodes to kind of set the foundation, give you guys a strong foundation on what the texts actually say, and I tried to give you some visuals to also be able to associate that record, that memory with imagery as well. And what I find kind of peculiar is that they're throwing this narrative out there of, "Oh, there's at least 4 species, and these are the species they are, this, that, X, Y, Z, whatever." And 1 million views means that there are 1 million people out there who have this idea ingrained into their thoughts about what is fact and what isn't. And maybe it's real. I don't know. I just find it peculiar. Anyways, so the reason, if you've watched episodes 1, 2, and 3, you'll understand the reason I find it peculiar is because we've talked about several possible extraterrestrial life forms, or ultra-dimensional, or however you want to call it. I don't want to like sit here and try and nitpick things that we don't even understand ourselves, that science may not even understand completely, like religion may not understand completely. I'm just trying to figure it out so that we can have the best understanding as possible, not some skewed half semi-truth. Okay. So overnight, Jesse Waters with his mega tweet and Fox News segment basically presented this information as factual evidence. And let's be real here. We're hearing this from Jesse Waters, who's taking this information from a guest on the Diary of a CEO podcast. And I'm not saying that Jesse Waters is lying. I'm not saying that the guy on the Diary of a CEO is lying. I mean, he could be absolutely telling the truth. I just find it really fascinating, like what Fox News, the mega media mogul, is there nitpicking, pulling, and giving the public. So why, right? These are the questions I have. Like, why? Why now? And what is the goal? What is the purpose? Nobody does anything unless there is a reason, and you can't ever convince me otherwise. The other thing, and this is the more pressing thing if you ask me, and only because I spend so much time, so much effort, and so much energy on getting you guys factual evidence, factual information, stuff from the record, stuff that is written down, stuff that isn't just fringe science or fringe theories or whatever. I'm not trying to give you this idea of like goblins and fairies and mythological things that just aren't what the actual texts say. if I've given it to you, if I've given you some information, it's because it was written down, or it was a word of mouth story that eventually got written down, or it's in some cultural belief somewhere, right? I'm not giving you fringe, and I wouldn't ever do that. So again, this is the bigger problem to me, because it makes everything that we're working for here together just almost like unimportant, or not as grand, or not as great, because what the problem is that there are so many channels out there on YouTube that are just lying about ancient history, just straight up lying. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to name any names, but you guys know who you are. And I think that's a real problem. Like, I think that's a real effing problem. There are numerous channels out there on YouTube that are just straight up lying to you guys. And ancient history, this version of ancient history that is so interesting to so many people, is actually like being perverted. If there's no other way for me to put it, it's just, to be honest, that's what it is. It's being perverted. It's being turned into some like fancy, like exotic thing that it never that it isn't. Okay, like, it is fun, it is interesting, and it's totally like love learning this stuff, right? But there's just so much more being built into it that is just not there. And I think a lot of the problem, and I think a lot of where this comes from, is Zacharias Sitchin. He is a pretty famous um ancient history mogul himself. We're not gonna give him too much credit, okay? He's pretty famous. And for those of you that don't know much about Zacharias Sitchin, you just need to know that he has some very fringe ideas about the ancient astronaut theory, and the ideas surrounding them, and who they are, their intent. There's just a lot of information he has to offer that's just absolutely untrue. There is no fact, there is no written record of it. It is his glamorized version of theory, but I'm not saying it's wrong to have that. I want the research we do on this channel to have a strong foundation, because that is what everything else is going to sit on top of. So intently, we are only using credible and verified sources, things that are and can be proven as existent, or having been written or recorded at some point in history. We're only going to use the stuff that we can say is there. Um, but Sitchin often builds his own interpretation of what the texts say, and then he presents it as fact. And the people watching him, and I'm guilty of this too, you just trust your source. And I'm not saying that what Zacharias Sitchin has to offer isn't entertaining. It's absolutely entertaining. Absolutely will melt your mind. Okay, that's fun, but it's just not true, and it's not the route I want to go with this channel. I want us to have a strong foundation again and build on that, something that isn't going to crack under scrutiny. And unfortunately, that's kind of where Sitchin stuff goes, okay? And there are a lot of YouTubers who take Sitchin's information as fact, use it as fact, and present it to you guys as fact. And that's just not what I want to do with it. That's just not where I want to go with it. I want you guys to be able to understand that everything that you see on this channel is going to hold up to the questions of anyone who's trying to understand it, okay? Because we're giving fact, and the truth is always going to be the truth. So Zacharias Sitchin, so a lot of these YouTube channels are using Zacharias Sitchin's work as fact. And I'm not saying that his questions aren't credible or reasonable. They are. They absolutely are. The problem with his work is that his sources, his answers, his primary sources aren't. His answer, the way he's going about getting the answers to come and give his viewers or his readers, it's just not verifiable, unfortunately. And that is a lot of the information that's being fed to you guys out there on YouTube. And it's really quite disheartening for me because I wish I could give you like a lot of below your mind ideas, stuff that's going to bring views in, stuff that's going to make you guys like me, but that would be unfair to you as well. And, I got so hooked into an episode just the other day. It even gave me like a tablet number to reference. And I absolutely did lock in on that episode for the solid 30 minutes or whatever it was. Mind blown, just like, whoa, why haven't I read this? I've been reading this stuff for years now. Where did I miss this? But because there was a cited source, an exact tablet number I could go reference, guess what I did? I went and I referenced it. And guess what? That information is absolutely not there, but guess where that information was? In Zachariah Sitchin's unfounded work. And it just really it bothers me so much because it's giving you guys, 64,000 people had seen that video, and it's just a complete incorrect idea of fact. It just bugs me. But you guys are here now. You're learning the truth now. We're learning the truth now together. Really, that's the truth because I've never gone this deep into it. I'm actually taking the time to treat this like a course with syllabus. We're asking the right questions. We're building this together. I'm sure we're going to be able to refine it as we go. And I look forward to you guys commenting, reading your comments, and engaging with this channel because that's what it is. I want this to be like a classroom where I'm just the main researcher and you guys help me help you. That's all. So Shadow Hour Report really is here as a place that you can depend on to find facts. And I look forward to sharing that and going through that journey of finding those facts with you guys. Again, the problem with Zachariah Sitchin's work is that although his questions are good, his answers just aren't from primary sources. They're one man's disputed idea of what the material says, and there are no credible Assyriologists who agree with that, okay? That's the main thing. But the problem is it's fun. And so what these YouTube channels do is they take that uncredited information, and they come back and give it to you guys in a fancy shiny box, and they say here it is, and it's presented as fact, and it's just not true. So I just want to be really clear about that. The Shadow Hour Report is not here to give you guys any BS. I'm just here to give you guys the facts, the credited sourced material. I'm not here to tell you guys what the ancient history says based on somebody else's idea of it. I'm here to tell you what the actual texts say and then let you guys do with that what you will. So I go to the actual texts. I use credited Assyriologists, peer-reviewed data, okay, stuff that you can trust is fact. And it's not that I'm not open to big ideas. Clearly, I'm open to big ideas, okay? This is more about my moral standing. If I'm going to be giving you guys information that could change how you think, how you understand the way human history progressed, I want it to be truthful. I want it to be as accurate as it can be. And that's just my conscience. I could never feed you guys something that felt inaccurate without feeling completely guilty. Something real. I want you guys to have something real to form your own ideas from. The stones, the tablets, the texts that I pull from are legitimate pieces of work. So I think I want to touch on this topic just a little bit more because there was a guy named David Grusch. He testified to Congress, and he was back in 2023. Yeah, 2023. Long story short, this guy was, in my opinion, super sketchy. He wanted to come out and blow the whistle, give the world all the information they've been dying to know about aliens. And yes, they're real and the government knows about it and they've been hiding it from you. You know, they made this guy an overnight celebrity because he was telling the truth about aliens, extraterrestrial life. And I think for most of us, if you're anything like me, you didn't sit and watch the actual trial. You didn't sit there and decipher and scrutinize every last word this man said. But I find it really interesting that when some of these questions were I took the time, I went back and I took the time to review some of the tapes, the recorded tapes, the recordings of the trial, of the hearing, rather. And of the testimony, sorry. I took the time to go back and review the testimony, and the guy was kind of sketchy. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was just weird. It's weird that you want to give some information and blow the hat off of most people's imaginations and minds, but you don't want to give it all. I don't know. It's sketchy to me. It seems like he's willing to be open about certain things, but just not quite being truthful about others. And that just really has me questioning the type of individual he is, right? I like to know the person I'm getting my information from is credible in more than just a resource type of way. Like, what about your character? Are you a good person? I don't know. I don't know nothing about this guy. I'm just saying it was weird. And I do think it's important to note that what he did say and what we can quote him as saying is biologics came with some of the aircraft, or my bad. Biologics came with some of the recoveries. Non-human biologics. Okay. Pretty blatant, right? Nothing to really misconstrue there. But that's the biggest piece, man. Like, that's the biggest piece of what he told us. He didn't ever confirm that there were 4 species, reptilians and insects and ABC and XYZ. He never said that. The Pentagon's official response to all of this was AARO, the Advanced Aerospace, whatever, has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity. Lies, 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 all lies. Here we are, 2025, and they're telling us something different. So on one side, you have a whistleblower under oath saying, hey, non-human biologics exist. And on the other side, you have official government telling us, no, they don't. Talk about mind war, right? Like, look, and here we are, 2026, and guess what? They're telling us they exist. So it took you 40, 50 years to admit that aliens exist. And when you have a whistleblower who goes out there and breaks it to the world that they exist, you lied to us, right? Like, they lied to us. So what else are they hiding? It's the government. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason we're doing this, is because it's the government. The significance here is pretty immense because he was a former intelligence officer saying this to Congress, saying this to the world, breaking this news to the world, right? And the Pentagon, shortly after Grusch made these statements to Congress, the Pentagon responded with, AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity. Interesting. Okay, so you're saying that the guy you hired, who you trusted enough to work for you, is lying to us. Interesting. All right. Well, whatever. We'll take it. We'll take it. Okay, let's move on, right? So in the summer of 2023, you had Grusch saying non-human biologics exist. Then you had the Pentagon saying, no, they don't. Tell me that's not absolute mind war. It is 100% a war for what you think and how you perceive and where your mind goes with these big ideas, okay? It absolutely is. And that's why we're here. We're not here to be told what to think. We're not here to be told how to think and not to question, okay? Because they were lying to us back in 2023, clearly. If it's now 2020, it is now June 2026, and now you're saying reptilians exist and insectoids exist, but 2 years ago they didn't. Like, bro, what? Like, why? That's the biggest question. But in that gap, that's where the story is. Like, in that gap between what's being said as truth and what is truth, that's where the answers are. Now, here's where it gets specific to what we're building on the Shadow Hour report. Our channel is here because we want truth. But everyone does, right? Everybody would love the truth. The problem is not everyone's willing to do the work to find it, but we are. Everyone right now is connecting the dots, the Anunnaki, ancient history, disclosure, aliens. Everybody's connecting the dots and everybody wants answers. So there's going to be a lot of channels addressing this, a lot of things coming out about it. But this is the channel where you can come, where you can know that the information that you're going to find is factual, is evidentiary, and in some way can be shown to be factually plausible. Ancient astronauts, the Anunnaki, Sumerian texts, all of that stuff is going to be important as we explore this idea, these topics, and look for answers. And I have a fundamental problem with the channels out there giving absolute untruths to a world that just is looking for truth. That's just not where we're gonna go with it. It might not be as grand and entertaining and mind-blowing, but it's definitely gonna be credible. We're not here to tell you what to think. We're not here to tell you how to frame it or what to question. We're here to just give you what we can give you, present facts, and you take that and you build your own concept of ideas with previous 3 episodes, building that core, building that foundation for you, letting you know the things that have been recorded, the Apkallu, the Saptarishi, the Vedic texts, the Mesopotamian ideas, the ideas that all seem to be mirrored in all these separate cultures throughout time, all similar ideas, just different names. That's really the main conflicting point in the stories, is just that the names change, but the stories all seem to stay the same throughout recorded history. If we really look at that and we really dig into the figures that we've been presented with in the recorded texts, there's nothing about reptilians, there's nothing about insects, there's nothing about little gray people. What we have been shown is a fish-like creature that is recorded throughout time in many different ancient cultures. You get a fish-like character from the waters, coming up from the waters. We're not getting a reptile, we're not getting an insect, we're not getting a praying mantis, we're getting what looks like a fish. Okay, that is the one characteristic attribute that we can say is always there in these texts. Water, fish, that is the idea, not what we're being told and not as what being spun out there in mainstream media. Now, look at the 4 species they're describing. It's not the same. It's just not the same, not one. Every single one of those that they've described is a humanoid or insectoid type of character in the ideas and the narratives being painted by media. Not one water associated creature. That's my big red flag right there, okay? So where does that leave us? That leaves us with one of three possibilities. Either the ancient record and modern disclosure are describing something completely different from each other, no connection, separate phenomena, or our second option is that the four species narrative is not accurate. The research is speculative, not confirmed, and just hearsay, or we're missing something in how we're translating one or both texts. I don't think it's that one, at least not on the side of the Sumer text, at least not on the side of the ancient text, maybe on the side of the disclosure stuff, because I mean, we're really not truly able to read and see all of that stuff. Not right now, anyways. But I don't think that we've misinterpreted anything in the Sumerian text. I'm here to give you guys the information as it's there. And if I would have read anything about a praying mantis in there, I would have put it. I guarantee you. If I would have read something about an insect, I promise you it would be in there. But that's just not what I'm reading. I'm reading something about a creature that seems more amphibious, something that is a water-bound hybrid. At least that's what it seems like. And that is verifiable in the text. Nothing about a praying mantis. I don't know which one it is, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. But what I am going to do is I'm going to tell you that there are discrepancies. There are obvious discrepancies. And nobody in current disclosure is opening up that conversation about it. So we're going to start connecting those dots. We're going to start bridging that gap. One more thing before I go. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I follow facts. I follow the evidence. And the evidence is pointing to a question that I'm just not able to shake. And that's why now? Why now? What is the purpose of disclosure and confusion now? Why is this narrative being spun? Why is it being spun now? Who is it benefiting? I think we all kind of have some idea of that, right? But I don't want us to get lost in the confusion that is being implemented on us. I want us to have clear sight on the things we can. And I hope you guys join me as we start untangling, scrutinizing, and finding the answers to the things that have just been hidden from us. When you have the mainstream media feeding you information that just seems pretty flamboyant, in times like today, where we have war and chaos and the Epstein class running society, instead of eating the information that they give you, you've got to be able to step back and scrutinize it, go to the source and find out, right? So that we know at least the ideas we leave with are going to be as close to the truth as possible. I don't have the answers to all the questions yet. I don't know where this is all going to lead. But I do think that these questions are worth asking. I do think that the answers that we find are going to be worth sitting with. And I do want our foundation to be solid as we grow the channel and as we grow as a community here on the Shadow Hour Report. It's getting pretty late, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off. It was nice chatting with you, meeting you, and again, I look forward to sharing more content with you guys. And if you've been here from the beginning, thank you. If you haven't, go back and check out the first 3 episodes. I really enjoy that you guys are liking the content and wanting the truth, as we all should. But yeah, that's where we are this week. I can't wait to have another supplemental episode like this. We'll be doing this every couple of weeks so that we can kind of go over the previous few episodes information and really talk about it. Maybe we'll do some lives every now and then too. I hope to see you guys there. But yeah, watch out for episode 4 coming out shortly in the next week or so. I plan to have it up by hopefully Tuesday of next week. So you guys watch it, check it out. And if you haven't seen the first 3, go check them out now. It has been fun sitting with you guys this evening, but I do gotta go. I work nights as a registered nurse, so I do have to run, guys. It was fun, and you guys stay curious, stay skeptical, and see you guys next time.